Hi everyone, welcome to Apogee the Moon. I am your host, Shanna Cross. Sometimes I just like to be silly, I'm sorry. So this week we're going to talk about February 13th through the 19th. So this week there definitely seems to be a culmination, a completion, and in a really interesting way because this full moon is going to be squaring the nodes quite closely, exact. So this is kind of looking at, the culmination and the crossroads that we find ourselves in, especially if you have heavy placements of fixed signs. So that would be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And so if you have either your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, or IC in any one of those signs, or if you have any heavy planet placements in those signs, there's going to be something that maybe seems like is culminating but can be working at cross purposes with what you think or what you thought was going to happen. It's a theme, especially because the sun and the moon, are the planets that cause eclipses, right? Well, the sun, the moon, and the earth. But anyway, I don't want to go into the science of it all, so I'll leave it at that. It's the sun and the moon that are the eclipse that have eclipses, right? That create eclipses. And so with the nodes of the moon, the north and the south node, these are estimated points of eclipses. And so where the nodes are transiting, that means we're going to have eclipses in those signs. So now going forward, we are fully entrenched in the Taurus and Scorpio axis of eclipses in those two signs. Squaring those two signs, however, is Leo and Aquarius, which is where this full moon is taking place in Leo. The sun is in Aquarius, the moon is in Leo. And so this can be a crossroads of sort. And so because it creates this, grand fixed cross, there is a need to surrender, especially with that south node in Scorpio. There's a need to surrender and allow something to happen, allow something to, be cut out of our lives, allow something to that's been rotting and festering in this, Scorpio area of our lives to let go, but also, on the Leo and the Aquarius axis where this is happening, this is a big culmination for specifically these two signs as well as everyone else, because we all have all the signs in our charts. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. But what old story, I guess, would be my question for you, as you to ask yourself, what old story that is dead or dying that needs to be moved away from? What part of your life is dead or dying that needs to be moved away from? And how can we move on? How can we extricate ourselves from this energetic drain that keeps us in fear? Because with that south node in Scorpio, there's a letting go of some type of fear in our lives. And I don't want to harp on this, so we'll move on. We'll get to the full moon in a little bit, but I do want to talk about the other aspects that are going on because it's really kind of interesting. So to start the week off on the 14th, we do have Pluto coming into a really nice trine with Pluto. We have Pluto coming into a really nice trine with the nodes coming into a trine with Pluto, however you want to say it. It's happening. There's a trine happening, right? And so trines are really nice. It's the energy of Jupiter. It's benefic energy. But it's Pluto, and Pluto can be really intense, subjectively intense in different ways. And so not only is Pluto in positive aspect with the North Node, but this is also an exact trine by degree, because this is happening at 27 degrees of Taurus and 27 degrees of Capricorn, where the eclipse happened in November, in November of 2021. So this 27 degree of Taurus is very sensitized because of that, and will be for some time. And so with the North Node here as a point of destiny, activating this spot, we can see manifestations of what the eclipse was bringing up for us, what was going on around the eclipse, anything that, especially because it was a full moon eclipse before we have these the solar eclipse. So this is almost as if there is something that at this time we decided we were going to be ending in some area of our life. And I say that because we have to end one cycle before we can start another. And so there is that. So, this can see manifestations of, what this eclipse brought up for us in November, both endings and beginnings for us. And with Pluto making a trine to the North Node and the sextile to the South Node, if we seize this opportunity to purge something out of our lives, something that could possibly be overly structured, overly stagnant, overly hierarchical, then we can be much more in alignment with our deepest desires and our deepest calling at a soul level. Okay, so I'll leave that as that. And then Mercury moving into Aquarius is, this is its post shadow. So we're getting closer to leaving this retrograde cycle with Mercury and moving on into new territory. Things that will be, new and exciting, except for maybe that conjunction to Saturn. That one can be a heavy one. But for now, we retrace, right, where we were at the beginning of January and again towards the mid-end of January when Mercury hit its retrograde cycle. So this is a finalization and this is a wrapping up of that energy. So what was going on that brought up your levels of frustrations, right? Because at that time we were just coming out of the exact last pass of Jupiter, the exact last pass, I'm sorry guys, the exact last pass of Saturn and Uranus square. So, where is it that we had feelings of frustration? Where is it that we felt like we were being limited in some way, shape, or form, where we maybe felt pressured, maybe where our anxiety ratcheted up several notches because Mercury did station to go retrograde in square with Uranus, and that can cause severe anxiety with people. So where maybe we were feeling overwhelmed in some areas of our lives and possibly even trapped, especially with that Saturn energy right there with Mercury as it's stationed to go retrograde. But this time, the conjunction will happen. So there's definitely something that needs to be reevaluated as Mercury comes forward, something that needs to be finalized, and a final conversation that needs to happen still. So the gravity of change and the due diligence combined into a perfect storm for shocking action with long-term implications, right? So what maybe shocked us out of complacency, or maybe where did we shock other people out of complacency? So take the time to focus on your long-range goals, your long-range plans, the betterment of humanity, right? These are all Aquarius themes through due diligence and grounded communication. This is bringing in Mercury and this is bringing in Saturn. The only way out is through. Always the only way out is through. And this too shall pass. Okay, so I just want to be very clear when I say that. Now on the 15th, we do have the sun squaring the nodes. And so, as we inch ever closer to this full moon, because this is just the day before this is happening, we're already in the full moon phase. We're already feeling it. We're already, in the mix and in the emotions of it. The square of the sun to the nodes comes exact. And so with the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio and the sun in Aquarius, we can see where power has been corrupted, possibly, right? We can see where too much pursuit of personal gain and want, of overindulgence, especially with that Taurus North Node, has allowed the corruption to continue, and deepen and become so pervasive and so prevalent and insidious as to be found in the very foundation of our reality currently. So where the voices of the manipulated few outweighs the voices of the rational many, right? So this can also see the manipulation of social movements for the gain of the Saturnian few to tighten the yoke. Just saying, it's a thing. And the reason I say this is because there are 5 planets right now in the sky that ultimately answer to Saturn. And so this is using something called dispositor chains. And so, We have, we have even the planets that are ruling where the nodes are right now, right? So the North Node is in Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. Venus is in Capricorn right now. The South Node is Mars and Pluto. Both Mars and Pluto are in Capricorn right now. Mercury, Aquarius, co-ruled by Saturn. The Sun, Aquarius, co-ruled by Saturn. And the Moon in Leo, ruled by the Sun, but the Sun has to answer to Saturn. So, on a personal level, this can be consolidating, though, our own personal power through hard work to be an authority in one area of our lives. It can be that as well. The full moon on the 16th. This one is usually full moons in Leo are dramatic. Moons in Leo are dramatic anyway, but full moons in Leo are kind of overly so, and this one is going to be extra. Just because the nodes are being squared as well by this full moon, it's creating a grand fixed cross. So we're craving both safety and security in a very uncertain situation. Bringing our fears to the fore, our wants, our desires, how we relate to others is a thing here, as well as where we want to shine on our own within a group. Okay, there is that. And all of these things are present. And at this time, though, the Sun and the Moon do ultimately answer to Saturn. It's authority. So the planets that rule the nodes, as I said in talking about the Sun squaring the nodes, now at this full moon, it becomes even more prevalent, right? So we have, the Sun and the Moon answering to Saturn. We have the planets that rule Taurus and Scorpio. They ultimately have to answer to Saturn. The Mercury in Aquarius, and also has to answer to Saturn. And so Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius in Hellenistic astrology, in ancient astrology, and so we have to bring that into consideration, because right now Uranus in Taurus, yes, it's a ruler of, the modern ruler of Aquarius, but it doesn't function as well. It doesn't have the same kind. Yes, it creates, there can be more earthquakes, there can be more disruption, there can be more technological advancements to do with how it affects our physical reality. But ultimately, Uranus too has to answer to Saturn. So we'll say that. Because it answers to Venus, and Venus is in a Saturn-ruled sign, right? So we have to look at that. So this is creating a grand fixed cross in the sky with the nodes and both luminaries. The old and the new are not only at odds, but they're also at cross purposes and frozen with fear while craving security. So there can be a moment where with this full moon, we have to make a choice. We have to make sure that we are consulting with our own inner wisdom as well, and understanding that everyone has choices. And I tell this to people all the time in my personal life. If you make a choice and it's wrong, or you miss the mark in some way, you can always make another choice. And some people get into this fear of making choices because they're afraid of the outcome. It's a thing, and I understand that. Make a choice. Even not making a choice is making a choice. So just understand that as well. We can definitely feel frozen. And if we can overcome our fear, though, of the uncertainty, of the chaos, that the future we're looking at, we can move through this energy. It will be through pressure. It will be through iron will resolve, to, kind of unstick ourselves from the fear paralysis. And with the South Node, being in Scorpio in a really nice trine at this time with Neptune, we can intuit how we move forward with Uranus in a nice sextile with Jupiter and 2. So we have two things going on. We have Uranus in a nice sextile with Jupiter, and we have Pluto in a nice sextile with Neptune. So there's definitely some activations of Pisces going on, and intuiting how we move forward, and picking up on maybe low level energies that we can not low level energies like, you know, bad energies or anything like that. And I don't want to sound too woo woo, but we can use our own intuition. We can use it as long as we have the discernment to understand what is ours and what is others. We can use our discernment to be able to take the leap and move forward, right? It's a leap of faith at this point with the activation of Jupiter, especially in Pisces. So with the wide trines of Mercury and Pluto to the North Node in Taurus, this can show us an opportunity of stability through structure and community by dismantling the old, outdated, and by bringing what worked from that old, outdated, and into the present and into the future with us. We can overcome the obstacles that we face at this current moment. So there is that, and we leave behind the fear and the uncertainty, you know, we leave behind the fear and uncertainty of the past, and bring forward with us the deep core values of structured communication and, you know, foundational levels of ourselves with like-minded people and with the communities that we're a part of. And so then we also have this week, on the same day, we have Mars coming conjunct Venus. So on the same day of this full moon, we have Mars and Venus coming conjunct exact. So the last time that Mars and Venus came together, came conjunct, it was also in an earth sign. This was back in August 24th of 2019. We see what has happened with their conjunction that happened in Virgo at the beginning degrees of Virgo, and this conjunction happened at that time very close to the sun. So both planets were being burned by the sun. We couldn't see them. There was some, you know, there's the negativity of the representation of what these two planets signify coming together. I don't know if I want to say it that way. The positive attributes of these planets are burned away when they're super close to the sun, so we can have more of the negative associations with them when they're super close to the sun. So both of them coming conjunct in for their 2-year cycle. Obviously, we see what happened. Virgo has associations with healthcare and medical industry and all of that, and they were invisible to the naked eye because they were blotted out by the sun. So from there, we can definitely see what happened over the last few years. And Virgo, like I said, is medical industry and doctors and things like that. That axis of Virgo and Pisces has associations with health, with well-being, wellness, doctors, alternative medical practices as well. So, and Pisces is, you know, cures and poisons. So we see what happened there. And so with them being very close to the sun the last time, you know, the toll that was taken on the themes associated with the Virgo Pisces axis and health, wellness, medicine, we see that. This time they're coming conjunct in Capricorn. And so this time they're visible because the sun is at the end degrees of Aquarius. They're far enough away. If you look after, actually they're morning stars right now. So if you get up super early in the morning, just before the sun rises, you will see them together in the sky. And they will be super bright because the sun is hitting them from below our horizon. So they're lit right up like little stars, right? But they're going to be bright and they're going to be super close, especially Venus, because she is still super close to the Earth right now. So there is that. And so they herald the coming of the sun. And so as morning stars, both Venus and Mars, you know, this conjunction will remain tight and continue on into Aquarius before, you know, Venus separates from Mars and pulls further away. But being that they are morning stars versus evening stars in the sky, this can see very direct, focused action being taken by Capricorn structures, right? By businesses, by governments, by you know, people that have authority, true grounded authority. We can see that as well. So watch as, you know, after this conjunction happens, watch what themes start to emerge that have to do with businesses, that have to do with governments, that have to do with hierarchical structures in our lives, and see how it's going to play out for you. You'll get an indication shortly after this conjunction happens. So just be aware of that. And then on the 17th, we do have Jupiter coming into a really nice sextile with Neptune. This doesn't happen that often. And so this can be freedom, fortune, creativity, visions of a dynamic future grounded in tangible results, right? Because, or not Neptune. Did I say Neptune? I meant Uranus. So Jupiter sextile Uranus does not happen very often, just because of their cycles and what have you. So that's where I get the freedom, the fortune, the creativity, the visions of a dynamic future, the grounded and tangible results that we can see from this sextile, and innovation and cohesive realities kind of collide to form new and dynamic timelines for everyone. So there's definitely some changes going on here. And at this time, the moon is also forming a trine to Uranus, and the Venus-Mars conjunction in Capricorn from Virgo. So the moon at this time that Jupiter comes sextile to Uranus, the moon is also making a grand Earth trine. So this can be very grounded in reality. This can be very much practical steps forward to create the reality that we want to create. And so it's very auspicious energy with Jupiter in a sextile with Uranus. So, you know, in an otherwise tumultuous situation that's going on. So definitely we have different areas of our lives coming together to show us the way forward through partnering with those that are in positions of authority and out-of-the-box ideas that can be put to use in order for a miraculous change of fortune, right? So, and then we have on the 18th, we have the sun moving into Pisces. Happy birthday, Pisces. Happy solar return. If this is your ascendant or your moon, you're going to be getting the sun highlighting that area of your life. So, again, it's a great time to be a Pisces of some sort, whether or not it's your sun, moon, or your ascendant. Because where the sun goes, our attention follows. So Pisces season is upon us. And so this is miraculous and powerful spiritual pursuits. This is escaping the humdrum and diving into the depths where we can, you know, master or level up our creative endeavors or our creative outlets. So both Jupiter and Neptune are strong in the sign of Pisces, and the sun will highlight them through its travels here. The new moon that's happening next month in March is happening with Jupiter. So the sun and the moon are coming together with Jupiter all together. And that's very auspicious. It's very lucky. And so this is a nice change from the intensity that is Aquarius season or was Aquarius season, as the case may be. So I am not going to be going into all 12 signs today just because I am running low on time. I do have other obligations that I need to get to, but I did want to get this video out. I did want to at least give you a general understanding of the intensity of the week that we have coming up. For some, this will be better than others. So, you know, check out my Instagram account, moonapogee_astrology. What I will be doing probably this coming week is I will be posting I'll make a post about how this is affecting you, how this full moon is affecting you on my Instagram account, and go through each of the 12 signs there. So you'll just have to just scroll right through and get to your signs or your sun or your moon. So again, if you want to follow me on Instagram where I update daily, or anytime there is a planetary aspect, and I also do different things to show you how you can look at your own astrology over on my Instagram account. So moonapogee_astrology, and I hope to see you there. And thank you, and you all have a great week and stay safe.